study session 3, study session 4. So it's going to be a continuation of our discussion. And today we'll be discussing the last study session. For now, we have about 119 of you available. I want to send a poll to your screen. I want to know how many of you have gone through your study material before coming to class today. So the question will pop up on your screen. I want you to answer it before we proceed. All right. Good. About 42 of you have responded. I'm waiting for others. We have about 140 of you in class presently. So just respond to the question on your screen. All right. 66. I'm looking for about 100 responses. Once I'm able to get 100, I will publish it so that you two can see for yourself how well you have been preparing for the class before coming to the class. I have 76 already. So let's get it going. Good, it's 1. All right. All right. I need about 10 more responses. Five to go. Five more to go. All right. So this is a good time to end it. Now, I believe you can see the results presently. About 58 of you are prepared for the class and 45 are not prepared out of 103 participants. Well, it's a good statistics for now. You have done well, and I really commend you for trying your best to prepare for the class. Now, so far, I don't know if any of you have questions on all our discussion so far. Study session 1, study session 2, study session 3. If you have questions, I think we can entertain a few, 1 or 2, before we go to today's discussion. So if you have questions, you can raise up your hand so that we'll quickly go through it. I think 1 or 2. I'll just take 1 or 2 persons, then we'll go to today's lecture. Okay. All right. I think I have one now. Golden Girl, can you please rename yourself so that I can know your name in particular? Golden Girl is not a name. Please rename your screen so that you can have a name. Once you change your name, I will call on you to ask your question. All right, in the absence of no other question, or while waiting for her to rename herself, we'll go to today's discussion. Today, our focus will be on fallacy. I know you might have come across this word fallacy before now. What it is, what is it that comes to your mind when you hear fallacy? Let me give you an example of an instance. Maybe there is a rich man in your area and the man, you know that the man has a share at Dangote Refinery or Dangote Cement. And the man is now proposing that they want to tar the road of your house. They want to make the pavement, they want to do a concrete work on that road. And one of the landlord in that area then raised up objection in their meeting that, sir, we know that the reason why you want to do this thing is because you have a share at Dangote Cement. So that whenever they are buying cement from Dangote, money will be coming to your pocket. That is why you are saying you want to tar this road. Now, from that example, what kind of thing is the argument right or wrong? Is the argument correct or not? This is what fallacy entails. This is what we want to see in fallacy. Now, what do we mean by definition of fallacy? So fallacy is an argument that tends to persuade but should not persuade. Consider the example that I just gave you when I started this lecture. That man in Dangote, that has shares in Dangote Cement, whenever that man proposed his argument, somebody that does not have in-depth thought about it will say, yes, it's because you have share in Dangote. That is why you want us to buy cement there. But there are other arguments that will supersede that. Can you see that that argument, it tends to persuade people that it's because you have share. But it shouldn't persuade you because that man is actually developing your community. Is actually developing your community. Some people are raising questions that they can't hear me. Please, once again, if you can hear me, I want to see your thumbs up if it's loud and clear, so that we will know that they are the one that's having problem. All right. All right. All right. You can lower your hands now. So those that are sending in questions, Salakoru Kayat, I think you should look at your Zoom application. Maybe you might be having a problem there. All right, so you can check your setting and check your network. All right, let's go on. So that is what fallacy means. So fallacy is an error in reasoning that tends to be psychologically persuasive. It is an invalid argument that has the deceptive appearance of being valid. Now, there is no way you talk about fallacy that won't refer to logic. If you recall, when we're discussing about branches of philosophy, if you recall very well, we talk about epistemology, metaphysics, ethics, and logic. Now, that logic side now focuses on fallacy that we are discussing now. Now, there is no way you are going to talk about fallacy that you will remove argument. That will now lead us to the next topic of discussion after we have defined fallacy, which is argument. What is argument? That is the question. Now, arguments on a normal day, you would think you are arguing with your colleagues, arguing with your maybe your siblings or your spouse. You know that kind of argument. You are right, I'm right, you are wrong, you are right. Now, what does that word argument actually mean? Now, when we are talking about argument, then you talk about a sentence which must have a premise and a conclusion. What do we mean by a premise? A premise, we can say it must have a beginning, then it must have an end. I hope you understand me now. It must have a premise, it must have a conclusion. Now, after you have gotten that definition of argument, from the screen, you can see an argument is a series of statements called premises intended to determine the degree of truth of another statement called conclusion. Now, we have valid argument, we have invalid argument. What is a valid argument? A valid argument is an argument that draws its conclusion from the premise. An invalid argument is the one that does not draw its conclusion from the premise. Now, let me explain it with this example you are seeing on the screen. The first one there, it says, some men are hawkers, some hawkers are rich. Therefore, some men are rich. Is that argument valid? No. It said some men are hawkers. That means there is possibility of men hawking goods. It said hawkers are rich. Is it all those people that are hawking goods that are rich? No. Can you now see the conclusion? It said therefore some men are rich. Is it because they are hawking that makes them rich? I hope you now get that now. Now, let's consider example of a valid argument. It said all Yorubas are humans and all humans are mortal. Therefore, all Yorubas are mortal. Can you see that valid argument? Before you call yourself a Yoruba man, you must first be a human being. That is substantiated. And all human beings, they will die. They are mortal. Therefore, all Yorubas will die. A Yoruba man cannot live forever. Neither can an Hausa man live forever. That is some of the elements of a valid argument. All unmarried men are bachelors. That is true, is a valid argument. I hope you understand how argument works. So it is that this point of view that will now lead us to what fallacy is. All right. Bukola is asking that I take definition of valid and invalid again. Valid arguments are arguments that takes their conclusion from the premise of a statement. And invalid arguments are arguments that do not agree, that their statement, that their conclusion do not agree with the premises or with the premise. I hope you get that one now. Their conclusion do not agree with the premise. The premise, the beginning is saying something, the conclusion, the end is saying another thing. But for a valid argument, what the beginning is saying, then the conclusion is drawing from it and substantiating it. Now, on that note, we are going to go to categories of fallacy. Now, in this category of fallacy, I will quickly list all the ones that we have. Then we explain them with examples. I think that will make it easier for us and faster. So I need your 100% attention so that you can get this very well. Now, how do we come about this category? Now, when your opponent is trying to present an argument, I hope you understand, there are ways that they try to get you involved in accepting that fallacy. Now, the first one, an argument can trick you by distracting your attention away from the weak point of that argument. Just like those people doing magic. You know, the major thing that they do is to distract your attention. They will focus your attention on one thing while they are doing another thing. So by the time they present what they are doing, you know, you will say, wow, that is magic. That is how some fallacy works. They will distract your attention from the main point of argument. Secondly, an argument can appear to be sound because of a counterfeit resemblance to an argument that really is sound. They will present a counterfeit one. And the third one, they can play on your emotion. They will persuade you, thereby confusing you. So on that note, we can draw the three types of this argument that we have. The first one is distraction fallacy. The second one is resemblance fallacy. The third one there is emotion fallacy. And the fourth one is now the combination of emotion and resemblance fallacy. Can you see that it is now easy for you to get it? It said distraction fallacy. They are distracting your attention from the weaker point of their argument. Resemblance fallacy. They are presenting fake as if it is original. Emotion fallacy. They are playing with your emotion just to lure you in accepting what you are not supposed to accept. Emotion and resemblance fallacy. That's the fourth one. Now, under these categories, we now have some subcategories. The first one for distraction fallacy, we have false dilemma, we have slippery slope, and we have straw man. Under resemblance fallacy, we have affirming the consequence, denying the antecedent, fallacy of equivocation, fallacy of begging the question. And under emotion fallacy, we have appeal to force, appeal to pity, and prejudicial language. And the last one, which is emotion and resemblance fallacy, we have appeal to authority and attacking the person. Don't worry, this word may look big as I'm pronouncing them, but the moment we dive into them, you begin to understand them when we present examples to explain them. Now, let's go to the first one, which is distraction fallacy. The first one there is what? Is false dilemma. Now, this fallacy is a bad argument because it has a false premise. That is, the base of that argument, the beginning of it is not true. It presents an either or choice. And in fact, there are more alternatives. What this one is saying is that when they present that argument to you, they will present it as if that is the only option that you have. If you don't go for that option, there is no other option. That is how they present it. Let's see the example on your screen. It said either we legalize drugs or we keep building new prisons and filling them with drug offenders. So what this one is trying to say that the only way for us is if we don't legalize drug, the next thing is to build prison and be putting people there. That is what false dilemma is. I hope you understand me. So false dilemma is that they are trying to present one option for you that if you don't do this, there is no other option for you. If you don't legalize drug, the next thing for us is to go and build prison and be putting people there. Now, this type of argument is typically of a false dilemma, and the arguer claims that there are two alternatives and that one is unacceptable, so we should choose the other. But in fact, there are more alternatives than the two stated. So we are distracted by undesirable or preposterous one of the alternatives is, and we tend not to ask whether these are the only two alternatives. In example given, there are other alternatives. We could reduce amount of prison time for those who have been sentenced. We could substitute house arrest with drug testing for prison sentence. That is, anybody that is caught with drug, we can place them on house arrest instead of putting them in prison. It may be that not all drugs will be legalized, but a few of them will be legalized. So these are examples of false dilemma. They said, if you don't do this, it's either you do this. The next one there is slippery slope. Sometimes we object to something on the grounds that if it is done, then something else will happen or is likely to happen as a result. And if so, something else will happen. Now this, it gives a kind of progressive way of something happening. If you don't do this, it will do this. If you don't do this, it will go like this. If you don't do this, you will do that. If you don't do this, you will do this. I hope you understand me. Now, let's see the example on our screen. He said, now, they make us register handguns. Pretty soon, it will be all guns. Everybody will have guns. If that happens, then they will be in a position to take our guns away. And once they take our guns away, they will use it to equip police station. Can you see how it keeps giving options? Now, let me give you another example so that you will understand. I said, if you don't come to school, you will not succeed. If you don't succeed, you will beg from your friend. If you beg from your friend, they will not give you money. If they don't give you money, you will be frustrated. If you are frustrated, you will die. Can you see how that trend is going? That is typical of slippery slope. Typical of slippery slope. Now, the third one under distraction fallacy is strawman. Strawman fallacy is more complicated than false dilemma or slippery slope, but it also relies on the sleight of hand technique of distraction, trying to distract you. Strawman consists of making your own position appear strong by making the opposing position appear weaker than it is. I hope you get that now. You are making the opposing person, you are making that person's position appear weak, and you are making your own position to appear strong. That is what that one is. Now, let's consider the example that is there. It said, advocate of sex education want to give children license to have sex with no consequences. This is an example of strawman fallacy. It's trying to make the position of those who are advocating for sex education in school weak by saying that the reason why they are advocating for sex education is to give children license to sex with no consequences. Can you see that? He's trying to present his argument as, in order to render the opposing argument useless, he's trying to make his own argument strong. How? He introduced kids into his arguments. The next one is no consequences, that they won't be punished because kids are underage. In law, they call them minor, and you cannot punish minor. I hope you understand me now. So that is what that person is trying to say, making his own argument strong while making his opponent argument weak. Now, let's go to resemblance fallacy. Resemblance fallacy. Now, under resemblance fallacy, we have affirming the consequence, denying the antecedent, fallacy of equivocation, and the last one there is begging the question. Now, what is fallacy of affirming the consequence? Let's consider this example. So if the president does a good job, the economy will remain stable. The economy has remained stable, so the president has done a good job. Now, when you say affirming the consequence, that is, the conclusion of that argument is substantiating what the premise, the beginning of the argument is saying. In the beginning, the premise says the president does, if the president does a good job, the economy will be stable. Now that our economy is now stable, they said the president has done a good job. It is affirming the consequence. And this is actually a fallacy. The president would have done a poor job even though the economy remains stable. Maybe the economy remains stable in spite of mistakes of the president. Maybe because people that have worked before that president came into power, maybe what they have worked for is now the fruit of what they are reaping during the tenure of the new president. Maybe that is why the economy has remained stable. Can you see the fallacy in that argument? Good. Now, let's go to the next one. It said denying the antecedent. Denying the antecedent, what that simply means is that it's denying what the premise is saying. It said, if it denies that he knows her, then he's been cheating on me. He admitted that he knows her, so he has been cheating on me. If he denies that he knows her, then he has been cheating on me. That means a girlfriend is telling his boyfriend that if you deny that you know this girl, then you have been cheating on me. Now the boyfriend has said, okay, I know her. Then the girlfriend still said, yes, you are still cheating on me. You know, that is fallacy of denying the antecedent. So he's denying what the premise is saying. He's not confirming it. That is what denying the antecedents mean. Then the next one there is fallacy of equivocation. Fallacy of equivocation. Now, when a word or an expression shifts meaning from one premise to another, it commits fallacy of equivocation. Let's see the example. Insane people shouldn't be punished. Why? Then someone who commits a murder must be insane. So murderers should not be punished. What was the first premise? They said insane people should not be punished. That is the first premise. Now, see what the conclusion, the conclusion said, so murderers should not be punished. That is the conclusion. But it has shifted is based from the first premise, that is insane people should not be punished. It now shifted to the second one that says anybody that kills is insane. I hope you understand how that fallacy works. Fallacy of equivocation. It shifts its premise from one premise to another. They have two premises. Insane people should not be punished. Someone who commits murder is insane. Is now saying a murderer should not be punished. That is fallacy of equivocation. The last one there is begging the question. Fallacy of begging the question. Now, this fallacy of begging the question is so tricky that you have to pay attention in order to get it. We stated at the beginning of this chapter that at the beginning it said that one of the fallacies we discussed are either invalid or have false premise. Begging the question is a fallacy that could both be valid and have true premise, but still will be a fallacy. Now, let me tell you how to identify fallacy of begging the question. How you identify them is that the conclusion will be reframing the premise. What do I mean? The conclusion will be saying what the premise is saying in another way. I hope you understand it. The conclusion will be saying what the premise is saying in another way. Let's consider this example. It said, whatever is less dense than water will float. That because such objects won't sink in water. Can you see? Whatever is less dense than water will float. Why will it float? Is that because such objects won't sink in water. It's just trying to reconstruct what that first part of the sentence is saying, which is anything that is less dense than water will float. That is how to identify examples of begging the question. It did not actually answer what the premise or the beginning of the sentence is saying. All right. Now, let's move to the next one, which is emotion fallacy. Recall that under emotion fallacy, we have appeal to force, appeal to pity, and prejudicial language. We will also consider these categories using examples. Now, appeal to force. Okay, let's take it together. Appeal to force and appeal to pity. You know, they can be explained together because they have very important similarities. When people get you to agree to something because they will be hurt if you in some way don't agree, that is appeal to pity. But if people get you to agree because they will hurt you if you do not do something, that is appeal to force. I hope you understand that. Now, let's consider this example. For appeal to force, it said, so you are an environmentalist. I would think twice about that if I were you. There are a lot of people in this town who depend on lumber and timber industry. They are not going to be very happy with you if they find out about your views on preserving forest. Can you see that he's trying to force that person? How is he trying to force the person? He said, if I were you, I would think twice. That is more like you are threatening a person. That if I were you, I would not do that too. Because if people catch you, because you do not hold their view of preserving the forest. I hope you understand now. If you don't do this, I will beat you. This appeal to force is common among mothers when you want to send your children out to get you something. And the children say it's not going. They say, if you don't go at the count of 1, 2, 3, I will beat nonsense out of your body. I hope you get that. Appeal to force. What of appeal to pity? You want to send your children somewhere, and you said, Samuel, come here. Go and get something for me. I will give you sweet when you come back. That is appeal to pity. Or, oh, that example could be wrong. Let's use the one on the screen. It said, I'm qualified for the job. I have a little experience in the area, and I've been out of work for 2 months or so. So I really need money so that I can live. That is a kind of appeal to pity. Are you qualified for the job? No. Why? Because you have little experience in that area. But you are now presenting your case so that they will have pity on you and give you that job. You said, I've been out of job for 2 months now, and I don't have money to spend. My children are suffering. I can't take care of my wife. I can't take care of my parents. But you are not qualified for the job now. I have people to feed. I have people to take care of. That is appeal to pity. And this is common in the court of law. For example, a lawyer is presenting a case to a judge, and maybe that person was supposed to be sentenced to prison. And you say, my lord, sir, kindly temper justice with mercy. My client have parents at home, is the breadwinner of their family. Can you see appeal to pity? That is how it works. And when you identify such, it is called what? Fallacy. And which kind of fallacy? It's a fallacy of emotion. The next one there is prejudicial language. An argument can also provide emotion for belief without providing support for that belief by using prejudicial language. Now, let's consider this example. He said, Chris outgrew the naive view of human being as a mechanistic robot. Let me come again. Chris outgrew the naive view of human being as mechanistic, robot-like creatures, and came to the more sophisticated view of human beings as autonomous and possessing a will. So what this is trying to say is that Chris has outgrown a view that human beings are mechanistics. Is that they are robots, they are like robots. Because human being has a will. That is what it's trying to say. But this is a prejudicial language because there is no way you can substantiate that robots has a will. And in fact, robot they don't have a will. That is, they cannot decide what they want to do. They are rather programmed to do this or else do that. I hope you are following. So when an argument does not have a basis to substantiate that claim, said it is a prejudicial language. When an argument does not have a basis to substantiate its claim, it is called what? A prejudicial language. Now we move to the last one there, which is fallacy of combination of emotion and resemblance. Combination of emotion and resemblance. The first one there is appeal to authority, and the second one there is attacking the person. Now, what is appeal to authority? Now, when we often doubt a statement because there is something wrong with the person who makes it, or give additional credit to a statement because of the person that is saying such words. These kind of words are called appeal to authority or attacking the person. Now, let's consider this example. The first one there is for appeal to authority. He said, majority of doctors think that the morals of our young people have declined. Majority of doctors think that the morals of our young people have declined. Now, in this statement, where is the fallacy there? The fallacy there is the thought of doctors. Why is it a fallacy? Are doctors, are they moralists? Do they have experience in moral matters? Are they authority in that area? I hope you understand now. Because they are not authority in that area, they cannot give a final say on whatever happened in a moral situation, condition, or whatever. So, but you are trying to present an argument by mentioning doctors because people respect doctors. Whenever they hear that somebody is a doctor, whatever that person says, they will take it as a word from authority. I hope you understand how appeal to authority works. Now coming to attacking the person. Let's see the option there. Our former mayor or our former governor favored legalizing prostitution. But it was the most corrupt mayor we ever had. There is no way we should legalize it, if not that mayor is corrupt. Can you see the argument? Now let's see the fallacy there. Said the point of discussion is that the governor or the mayor favors legalized prostitution. Now see the conclusion. It said because the mayor is corrupt, they are now attacking the person of the mayor so that they can invalidate the legalization of prostitution. Can you see how attacking the person works? Now, let me give you a practical example of this. If you recall some years back, when the issue of fuel subsidy first came in Nigeria, they set a panel at the Senate chamber, and the person that chaired that committee to look into the issue of fuel subsidy was one man from the north. And at the end of the day, they said some people presented money to that man, and the man pocketed the money. The person that now gave the man money now shouts that, we gave this person money. The person is corrupt. Because it's corrupt, is not in a capacity to chair those who will look into the issue of fuel subsidy in Nigeria. I hope you can recollect. They have attacked that person to render whatever it is the man is presenting invalid. Do you understand? That is an example of attacking the person. So now, with what we have discussed today, those of you that you are nurses, if a patient came to you and started presenting his case, you should be able to pick out the fallacy in those statements. Because if you are unable to pick out the fallacious statement in what the person is presenting, you will discover that you will be presenting a wrong prescription to the patient without knowing what actually happened. For example, if a patient comes to you and he says, a doctor of philosophy at LAUTECH says I have malaria. So I have come to you to give me malaria drug. And you went ahead to give such person malaria drug. What has happened? You know, the person has committed a fallacy of appeal to authority. Because the person, doctor of philosophy, does it mean he's a medical doctor? Is the person qualified to certify that such person is having malaria? I hope you understand that perspective. Now, on these notes, we have come to the end of the discussion for the class today. Now, I would like to take one or two questions. Before I give you further instruction on what we'll be doing at a later time. All right, I have 3 questions already. I won't be taking much questions, so I'll just few of you. All right. Kemi Olowoyeye, you can unmute yourself and speak. Okay, your audio is gone. Chris Eunice, you can unmute yourself and speak.
All right, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for that very precise lecture. My question is on appeal to PT, the example under appeal to PT.
Okay.
So I want to know, under the example that was given there is, I am qualified for the job. Yes. So I want to know, is it I am qualified or I am not qualified for the job?
Is I am qualified. You know, the idea is the person is trying to present an invalid argument. If you recall the definition of fallacy, they said they are trying to be persuasive. What should not be psychologically persuasive? I'm trying to present myself to you to employ me, though I'm not qualified for the job. But in order for you to give me the job, I'm now telling you that I have a parent to take care. I have a children that is sick in the hospital. So I'm presenting myself so that you will pity me and give me the job. That is appeal to pity. I hope you understand.
All right, yes, sir. Thank you very much.
All right. Rukayat Salau Omodolapo, you can unmute yourself and speak.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you so much for the lecture, sir. So my question is on the prejudicial language. I didn't get that explanation very well, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Prejudicial language is that when somebody is trying to present an argument, but there is no basis for that argument. It could not substantiate what the person is actually arguing about. For example, when you are arguing with your friend now, but you are asking for reason, but your friend is unable to provide reason why he's saying what. I hope you understand now that your argument does not have a base, does not have a basis. Do you understand? So when an argument is being presented, but there is no basis to justify that argument, you categorize such under prejudicial language. All right. Okay, Mary, you can unmute yourself and speak.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. Please, I want to know the difference between premises and conclusion, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Premises and conclusion.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, when we begin our discussion, can you see your screen? Talk about Yes, this is where we give the definition. An argument, when you have a statement has a premise and a conclusion. The premise is the base of your argument, and the conclusion is the support you are trying to give your argument, to be put in a simple way or format. For those of you unmuting yourself, kindly refrain from doing so. So from the definition on your screen, an argument is a series of statements called premises intended to determine the degree of truth of another statement called conclusion. Now, see the example that is on your screen. Some men are hawkers, some hawkers are rich. Therefore, some men are rich. The premise there is what? Some men are hawkers, some hawkers are rich. Those are the premises there, which means a statement can have more than one premises. And the conclusion there is therefore some men are rich. That is the conclusion that is there. How do you identify conclusion? By the use of the word like therefore, but, else, and some conjunction like that. I hope you understand me. That is how to identify them. All right. Rachel, you can unmute yourself and speak.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for the lecture, sir. I joined the lecture late. Please, I will appreciate if you can share if you can give us the audio, sir, as usual. God bless you, sir.
All right.
I'll be able to go through.
The video will be available on the LMS. So if you should check your LMS in some hours' time, it will be available there. So you can watch it there. Oloko Iyanu, you can unmute yourself and speak.
Okay, sir.
Go ahead, we are listening to you. I think your network is not so good. Maybe you should look for a better network and reach us later. You need my question. Unmute yourself and speak.
I said thank you. Answered already. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
My question.
We can't hear you again. You have muted yourself. Please unmute yourself and speak, please.
Okay, sorry.
All right.
Under the category of fallacy, you talked of resemblance fallacy, which have affirming the consequently, denying the antecedent, and then equivocation. Can you expatiate more on equivocation?
On equivocation. Now, the idea about equivocation is you are shifting the conclusion from one premise to another premise. You are not actually giving the conclusion a base. That is how it works. Now, see the example that is there. Say, insane people should not be punished. I hope you understand me now. Everybody agree that anybody that is insane should not be punished. Now, see the second premise is that anyone that commits murder is insane. You see the other premise. Now see the conclusion. They said, so anybody that murders people said they should not be punished. Can you see that that is a fallacious argument? Because it has shifted the base from one premise to another. It is not actually substantiating whatever it is trying to justify. Look at the example again so that you can get it more clearly. Insane people should not be punished. Someone who commits murder must be insane. So murderers should not be punished. I hope you understand that now.
Yes, sir.
All right. Pauline Isaiah.
Thank you, sir.
Unmute yourself and ask your question. Eunice Mojib Akoni, unmute yourself and ask your question.
Thank you very much, sir. I want you to throw more light on prejudicial language.
Prejudicial language. I think I've explained this before. So when your argument does not have a basis, you are saying something, but you cannot substantiate it. That is what prejudicial language is all about. For those of you sending the matric number, please desist from sending such to the comments. It's not actually necessary. It's not necessary. All right. Omowumi Eunice, unmute yourself and speak.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the lecture, sir.
Yeah.
Please, my question is that I want you to give one explanation, especially concerning the definition of invalid and valid argument.
Okay. The invalid and valid argument. When we say valid argument, what we mean is that the conclusion is drawn from the premise. Simply put, the conclusion of the matter is finding its base from the beginning of the sentence. Example that was given, all Yorubas are human and all humans are mortal. That is the premise. Now see the conclusion. Therefore, all Yorubas are mortal because everybody will die. That is a valid argument. An invalid argument is what you are trying to substantiate cannot be picked from the premise. Simply put, the premise in the first instance is actually wrong. When you reason it, you see that the premise is wrong. So a wrong premise cannot give you a right conclusion. Once the premise is wrong, that argument is invalid already. That is the idea behind valid and invalid argument. I'll be taking one more question before I stop taking questions. Pearl, you are supposed to use your full name. Okay, if you are Pearl, you can unmute yourself and speak now.
Okay. Thank you. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
I want to ask a question on equivocation.
On equivocation.
Yes, sir, that you explained the other time.
But you have gotten it right?
No, yes, I've gotten your explanation.
Okay. Okay.
But my question is, are they true? Because where a murder must be insane, so murders should not be punished. Like
the one on murderers.
Insane.
Mm-hmm. Now, let me put it. Let's put it in a perspective.
So depression or so something like that.
Okay, let's put it in perspective so that you will get the idea. The first one says insane people should not be punished. Do you agree? Do you agree? Yes. Well, I want to move to all now. Say insane people should not be punished. Someone who commits murder is insane. So murderers should not be punished. This is fallacy of equivocation because now see, are you looking at your screen? See murderers here. See murderers here. That is in one premise. See punished here. See punished here. That is in another premise. I hope you understand now. This conclusion is not based on one premise. And as it is going, it is commits a fallacy of equivocation because it is shifting its conclusion from one premise to another premise. And that makes this conclusion to be wrong because anybody that commits murder must be punished. I hope you understand now. So you can now not say, because people that commit murder are insane, and those who are insane should not be punished. Because of that, murderers should not be punished. It's a fallacy of equivocation. So on that note, we have come to the end of the class. But before we go, listen to this instruction very attentively. An assignment has been given to you and a quiz has been uploaded. They will be available as at now. They should be available. That assignment, after you have attempted it, you are going to assess your colleagues' work too. You are the one that will mark for your colleagues. Now listen, at the end of your submission, you will have about, for example, that assignment will be available for 2 weeks. Immediately after that 2 weeks, you are supposed to visit your LMS back the 3rd week. That 3rd week, you will have been assigned work, at least 5 of your colleagues' work to assess. Now listen to this very important information. If you do not assess your colleagues' work, you will not have mark for your own assignment that you have submitted. So you must make sure that you assess your colleagues' work. And the process by which you are going to do that assignment is already on the LMS. Just follow through. You will see the assignment. You will do it inside a Word document, which will be converted to PDF document, and you are going to upload that PDF document. After 2 weeks, you check back. You will have been assigned work of your colleagues, which you have 1 week to assess. Immediately you are done with that, you will be graded and your scores will be shown to you. Now, before the end of this class, I want to send a poll for you. So please, I want you to respond to that poll. Yeah, the poll is on your screen now. And I want your response. I have about 298 participants in class now. So. All right, that's interesting. I think we have 50 more persons to go. All right. All right, that's interesting. All right. All right, we have about 20 people more to go. All right. Thank you for your participation in the pool. If, okay, I want to share the results. The result is saying all of you enjoyed the class. Actually, I'm really flabbergasted. Thank you for the response. All right. We have come to the end of the course. If there is any other information for you, I will surely keep you posted. And concerning the attendance will be picked from the LMS. What that means is that you inform your colleagues if they are unable to attend the online facilitation, is no problem. They should just make sure that they watch the video that has been uploaded on the LMS, and they make sure that they attempt the quiz that is available on the LMS. If you have done that, the issue of attendance will be taken care of. And before you attempt the examination, when you come for the examination, list of those who are qualified to take the examination will be sent to your group so that you will know if you will participate in the exam. And if your name is not there and you eventually go ahead to participate in that exam, what that means is that you will not have results. On that note, I wish you all the best in your endeavors. Thank you. See you when you come for face-to-face facilitation.